All right, what is going on, everybody? We got a bit of a different video, more of a commentary video on what has gone wrong with the Pelicans, not just this season, but in the Zion Williamson era. This is off um, the news that we got 2 days ago that Brandon Ingram suffered a significant low left ankle sprain and is sidelined indefinitely, no timetable. Um, And I just want to talk about what's gone wrong since drafting Zion Williamson and since this era post Anthony Davis, and what's gone wrong really. Um, because I feel like it's unfair to say, oh, they're bad this season, they've been bad, let's just close the book on them. I think that's very surface level. That's very just monotonous. Like you can hear that on ESPN, you can hear that anywhere. They're not going to go in depth and tell you what has exactly gone wrong, and I hope to do that. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment them down below, and if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. We're gonna go off um, the 2019-2020 season and work our way up to the current day. I'm gonna try to do this a little quickly. Try to talk about some important things, but not try to ramble. Um, and we'll do some broad strokes as well. We won't go through everything, but we'll try to hit the important things. Um, since 2020, they've had as their head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, Alvin Gentry, Stan Van Gundy, and they've had Willie Green for the past 4 seasons. Alvin Gentry was 30 and 42. Stan Van Gundy was 31 and 41. Willie Green in his 4 seasons starting in 2022 was 36 and 46, 42 and 40, 39 and 33, and this season so far they are 5 and 20. Um, where to start, man? Where to start? I think the important thing to start with is simply um, where they have drafted and what they have drafted, and then get into trades and then get into the roster they've tried to construct the past handful of years. Um, so let's do the draft first. Um, in 2019, obviously, you take Zion Williamson and you have 2 second-round picks, bunch of, dare I say, nobodies. And then 2020, you draft um, Kira Lewis. You draft Sam Morrell. He was rerouted to Milwaukee. And you draft Nick Richards, who was rerouted to Charlotte. Both decent players. Should you have kept them? I don't know. And then in 2021, you draft Herb Jones. And you draft Zahir Williams, who gets rerouted to Memphis. These are all on draft night, by the way, when I say rerouted. And then 2022, you take Dyson Daniels, who you just traded this last offseason. You draft EJ Liddell. And in 2023, you draft Jordan Hawkins. That's the only draft pick you had, first round pick. Dyson Daniels, a first round pick as well. And Yves Messi in 2024, first round pick. Um, yeah. So those are their picks, right? Let's go through the years, right, and see who they could have drafted. I'm not saying these guys were bad draft picks, especially Dyson Daniels and especially Jordan Hawkins. I don't think a lot of these players are bad, but in hindsight, it's always 2020, and we can look back now and say, hey, you probably should have drafted this person. And dare I say, this is another thing I want to talk about, that whatever David Griffin's title is, he's not the GM, he's the operations director or something, or uh, some nonsense. He runs the whole team. He runs the front office and stuff, right? So let's take a look at 2020. You draft Carol Lewis Jr., right, out of Alabama with the 13th pick. Um, Cole Anthony was still on the board. Isaiah Stewart was still on the board. Josh Green, Sadiq Bey, Precious Achua, Emmanuel Quickly, Peyton Pritchard, Jaden McDaniels, Desmond Bain. Um, well, that's just the first round. Um, Trey Jones. Um, yeah, just looking at the first, and you got Sam Morrell. They got Sam Morrell at the 60th pick. Hindsight is 2020. I get that, right? Also, Tyrese Maxey is here. That's not. I went right over that. I apologize. Tyrese Maxey was here. So you draft Carl Lewis, right? Well, I don't even know if he's still with the team. I don't think he is with the team anymore. Um, no, he last played for Utah. Um, you draft Carl Lewis, right? And I'm not trying to say any of these players are bad, but they were just put in a bad situation, and his career averages are 5-1-1 in a 4-year career. Like you could have gotten. That's crazy to look at now. You could have gotten Cole Anthony, all star potential. Isaiah Stewart, decent big man. Josh Green, decent role player. Sadiq Bey, decent role player. Precious Achua, huge for the Knicks at times this year when he has played. Tyrese Maxey, all star. Jeez, imagine freaking Tyrese Maxey next to Zion Williamson right now. Oh boy, that's crazy. Emmanuel Quickly, all star potential. Peyton Pritchard, key role player on a championship level team. Jaden McDaniels, Desmond Bain, who carries the load in Memphis right now when Ja's not there. So like you missed out on all these guys to pair with Zion, and I'm of the school of thought when drafting any player in almost any league is you draft for, especially when you're a bad team, you draft for talent. You don't draft for position. We'll figure out the positions later. We don't need to worry about that, right? If maybe you played the one in college, you played point guard in college, but in the NBA you're a two. Why? Like, there's no point in like me actually going out there and looking at point guards when the shooting guard or whatever is the better prospect, you know? And like we can look at the 2020 Pelicans roster here, and we can see if they had a positional deficiency at point guard or at shooting guard or whatever. They had Nikhil Alexander Walker, they had Lonzo Ball, they had Derek Favors, they had Josh Hart, they had Drew Holiday still, Jackson Hayes, um, E'Twaun Moore, Jahlil Okafor, now Lakers coach JJ Redick, Sindarius Thornwell. Shout out Sindarius Thornwell. Like, and a lot of these guys, well, no, almost all these guys are not with the team. The only people that are still on this roster from this 2020 roster is Zion and Brandon. And like, you, like, what did they need? Let's see. What do they need? They needed a small forward. It looks like they needed a small forward because at this time Brandon was playing the four for them, right? He's playing the four for them. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I'm losing my position here. Oh my God, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Excuse me. I'm having a hard time refinding my bookmark page. Here we go. So they need a small forward, right? Let's see. Let's just act like we're in 2020, right? Hopefully never again, but for this experiment, for this thought experiment, you need a small forward, right? Sadiq Bey's there. I'm not saying he's gonna save your franchise. Jaden McDaniels is there. Desmond Bain is there. Aaron Neesmith is even there. Like, I get if you don't want to take a guard, you don't want to take Maxi, you don't want to take Anthony, You don't want to take Pritchard. You don't want to take Bain because he's more of a two. Like it's just incompetence, and that's going to be a theme as I read through some of these drafting things, these drafting um, things, these drafts they've had overall has just been bad. Um, let's go to 2021 real quick. 2021. 2021. This is the Cade Cunningham draft. Um, they had the 10th pick, Zahir Williams, who they traded away on draft night, I believe, if I remember correctly, um, to the Grizzlies. Right? Let's see. Who was after Zahir Williams as the 10th pick? You had Moses Moody. You had Alperen Şengün. You had Trey Murphy, um, who they got back, I presume. Yeah. That was the draft night trade. So you moved down to 17 and got him. Um, you got Keldon Johnson. You got Quentin Grimes. You got Cam Thomas. You got Day'Ron Sharp. Um, Herbert Jones, who they actually drafted, which is Herbert getting Herbert and um, Trey Murphy is a good draft. You know, but I would say the potential for Moses Moody is probably higher than Trey and Herbert. But overall, I think this is one of their better drafts, and I will stand corrected on that. But when you draft guys, good guys, in back in the same draft, their contracts are going to come up at the same time. They're um they're going to want similar amount of money, and eventually you're going to have to trade one of them. Now, am I saying you shouldn't have drafted these guys? No, because they're actually one of the guys both of them are actually playing versus their main guys not playing. But would I have taken somebody different? Eh, perhaps. Probably to have more offensive firepower. Because what comes later is the CJ McCollum trade, which is just bad. Just bad, looking back on it. But let's take a look at their 2021 roster just for fun. Where is it? There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. 2021 roster. You ready for this one? Steven Adams. These are the highlight names. Steven Adams, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Josh Hart, Jackson Hayes, Brandon Ingram, Carol Lewis, Zion. JJ still on the team. This is it, and they let's see, where did they finish? Where did they finish? Where did they finish? They finished. They didn't even make the playoffs. Didn't even make the playoffs. Mm-mm. That was under Stan Van Gundy too. I remember now. I remember. Um, Bad team, badly coached team. No bueno. No bueno. No good. No good. No good. Let's see. Move on to 2021. I have nothing to say about it. That was just a bad year. I can't even dissect that year. I think no, but from what I know about that team and from what JJ Redick has said, Stan Van Gundy had no idea what he was doing, and he probably wasn't the right guy. He wasn't the right guy to coach the team, and he was doing things that would have happened a decade ago, and that doesn't work in today's game or even back then. This is 3 years ago. That's the inside scoop from JJ Redick, from him to me to you. Um, yeah. So let's go to 2023. Or 2022, 2023. Pardon me. Um, this is the Paulo Banchero, Chet Holmgren draft. again, not a bad pick. They drafted Dyson Daniels, who they recently traded. So did it work out for them? We'll look in a minute. I'll look into that trade. Um, you have guys drafted after him: Jalen Duren, Walker Kessler, Nikola Jovic, um, Jalen Williams, not J Dub, the other one. Um, if you were just gonna like, if you were just going to trade him, like, then why did you get him? Like, it doesn't. And you had like a surplus of guards. You had CJ at this point. You had Garrett Temple. You had Devonte Graham. You had Jose Alvarado. This is after Lonzo Ball left. Is And you needed a center. Like, Jackson Hayes wasn't your answer. Willie Hernan Gomez wasn't your answer. Larry Nance wasn't your answer. You could have taken, and I get it probably would have eaten up some of Zion's possessions and stuff because he was just standing there in the paper. You could have gotten Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler's has all time defender potential, and he's in Utah right now. But man, man, just a bad, just a bad. See, some of these mistakes aren't critically bad, but over time you see, well, we have 3 point guards. Why did we draft another one? Why did we draft a center when our centers were really deficient? And I get you have to have faith in the draft picks you have when you draft like Jackson Hayes a couple years previous to that, but at a certain point you have to sit down and say Jackson Hayes is only a run, jump, and dunk center, and that's all he'll ever be. So why don't we get somebody who's actually good at one thing and get Walker Kessler? But they just didn't want to do that, which is so silly to me. Is just so silly. Um, let's move on. Let's try to get through these. Let me reload this page so I can 2023, 2024. Is that where we're at? Yeah. 2023, 2024. Last year. Let us see what their roster consists of. Jose Alvarado, Dyson Daniels, Brandon Ingram, Herbert Jones, Carl Lewis, CJ, Larry Nance, Jonas Valanciunas, and Zion. Right? Let's go to the draft boards, please. Let's go to the draft boards. It is loading. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This is the, of course, all-time talent draft. Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson draft. This is the Jordan Hawkins draft for Pelicans. And make sure I got the right team up for you. I don't want to misinform you guys. Jordan Hawkins, Jordan Hawkins. Yep, he's here. Okay, cool. This is the Jordan Hawkins draft for the Pelicans. Let's see. Who else could they have taken besides Jordan Hawkins here? You got Jaime Jaquez. You got Cam Whitmore. You got Chris Murray. Um, let's see. Not, this is not a bad pick for them. Looking back on it, and I think even in the moment, people really didn't question this pick. I think they thought it was a good pick. I mean, you got Jalen Hood-Schifino, yeah, Brandon Podziemski's here, Cam is here. Uh, I'm not gonna criticize this one too much. I think this one's okay. This one's okay. For the team around it though, for the team going into this, uh, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about it. They were positive on the season and wins. But again, like I look at this team and it just doesn't. It just looks so mismatched. And we'll head into the last year here before we get into some critical trades and stuff that happened for them. But um, and this past off season they traded for DeJounte Murray, and DeJounte Murray and Zion and Bi have yet to play a game together. Um, and we're gonna look at the roster for this year. If it will load for me, pardon, it's taking a minute. Um, yeah. So you got Zion, Herb Jones, DeJounte Murray, Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, Trey Murphy, CJ, Brandon Ingram, Daniel Tice, and where's hey, Murray's here, yeah. And this is where we come to sort of talk about the current day is after all that, after everything you did, all those draft picks, trading away some, losing some guys, this is what you're left with. And the team really doesn't have much outside of when these guys can't stay healthy, they can't they can't keep their head above water. They're just a bad team, and I think they only had that one draft pick, right? So there's like yeah, they have one draft pick. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go into it because why bother? You know, um, we can we can dive into the other things they've done. Um, besides the draft, which would be the trades they've made. They traded um, what's his name? Oh my God, where's the name for this one? Drew Holiday. This is when it all started going downhill. This is back in 2020. They traded Drew Holiday to the Bucks for Eric Bledsoe and George Hill and draft picks. The draft picks that I've mentioned thus far in this video. Those are what they became, at least. Um, similar compensation for compared to the Anthony Davis trade. I guess in the moment that's what people were saying. I have no idea how people thought that was a good idea. Um, because here's the thing: when you're a GM or whatever you want to call yourself, you can't rely on picks if you can't draft correctly or you can't draft the best talent. Because reading this and doing this video has shown me that David Griffin necessarily didn't make bad picks. He just made bad fit. The fit for the team was just bad. Was just bad. And to follow that up, this was in 2022. They traded Josh Hart and Thomas Sadaransky and Nikhil Alexander Walker and another guy in a 2022 protected first round pick and two second round picks for CJ McCollum, Larry Nance, and Tony Snell, who Tony Snell is out of the league for different reasons. He was just bad at basketball. Larry Nance is on the Hawks, got traded in the Dyson Daniels trade. And CJ McCollum is there, but CJ McCollum doesn't need to be there because the Pelicans haven't been good enough to make the playoffs. And that's where you get a veteran guard like CJ to help you in the playoffs. But what happens when you can't make the playoffs? CJ is irrelevant to the team. He obviously is a good locker room guy, but good locker room guy don't matter if your star player in Zion can't play, and Brandon got injured on a freak injury on a freak play, where he did something to his ankle. I can't be mad at him, but he always seems to be at the wrong time, and it's just compounding issues. And very quickly here, I just want to go through some of their star trio's numbers here. Um, we'll do Zion first. He missed all of 2022, just for the record. 2022 or 2020, pardon me, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Second year, first All Star season, 27 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds. Amazing year. Amazing year. All Star season, right? Injured the whole of 2022. Didn't play. 2023, he comes back. 26 points. Turnovers are up. Turnovers are up. 3.4. Assists, 4. Rebounds, 7. Right? The next year, 2023, 2024, no All Star appearance, right? 22 points, back down to his rookie numbers. Steals are up. They've been up the past 2 years. Assists are up, 5 assists. Rebounding's down, 5 rebounds, almost 6. And then we get to 2024, 2025, 22 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. A good year. A pretty decent year. But in between all of this, his healthiest year was 2024. 70 games played, 70 games started. He's played, since his rookie year, he's played 24, 61, 29, and 70, and he's played only 6 this year. He's only played 190 games in his NBA career. He averages 31 minutes, which is impressive for a guy like him, but that's that. The numbers aren't bad. It's just he doesn't play. And then we go to their acquisition this offseason, DeJounte Murray, who I won't go through his numbers because he's been in the league long enough. His average, his year by year numbers fluctuate, and his stuff goes up and down. So I'm just gonna read his career numbers. 15 points. He's made one All Star appearance, by the way. That was in 2022. 15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Those are his career averages. 8 years in the league. He has played 409, pardon me, games throughout his 8 year career. And I don't want to speak bad about DeJounte Murray because I actually like him. The thought of DeJounte Murray defense isn't what he actually does anymore. He's not that high caliber defensive player of the year guy that we thought he once was. He's kind of trailed off a little bit. And I think it's a better fit. I think CJ does thrive with guys who sort of does the opposite of what he does, because him and Dame never really worked. Him and Lonzo. Did they play together? I don't even know if they played together. But my point being is that CJ has never really played well with guys that do similar things to him. It has to be CJ and a guy who does something a little different. And I think at the end of the day, if this team was healthy, it would work. But they just haven't been healthy. And our last guy here, Brandon Ingram, he's been in the league. Oh my, he's been in the league 9 years. Damn, 9 years flies by. I remember when this guy got drafted. Damn. He won MIP, and he was an All Star in 2019, 2020. His career averages are 19 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, and he's played 495 games. It's a lot less than I thought he would have played. He's never played 82 games. Yeah, I did not know that. That's kind of crazy. But my case being, my thought being with all this and the Pelicans is that as I've gone through this video and as you guys have listened, that they haven't drafted bad. They've just drafted not well, and they've drafted for fit rather than draft for the best player available. And I think that's really what screwed them over at times. And before Brandon got injured, there was talks of him getting traded. Will the trade still happen? I don't know. There's talks of one of the Trey Murphy or Herbert Jones getting traded. CJ's always been floated out there. I just want to top off this video with going over the mock draft on Tankathon. Um, they are projected to have the number 2 pick right now and take Dylan Harper, point guard, shooting guard out of Rutgers. Shout out Rutgers. 6'6", 220. I'm not saying they're gonna be worse than the Wizards, who have the number 1 pick right now, but if the Pelicans get up there and they get Cooper Flag, and they and Zion has still some trade value, I would say let's just blow it up. If we're gonna blow it up at the trade deadline, let's just blow it up even more. If we can get Cooper Flag, let's get Cooper Flag. Let's restart with another Duke star, get rid of Zion, and call it a day. I think that's the only way this gets truly blown up. I don't think they blow it up completely. I don't think that happens. And it's really just been mismanagement and some bad luck, but man, the Pelicans just can't catch a break. And do I feel bad? I feel indifferent. I really don't care. I was kind of bought in on the Zion train, and then I just didn't care anymore. After the first 2 times he got injured, like I was like, yeah, he doesn't really care. And then they extended him, and then I was like, yeah, I really don't care. It's just free money for him. So yeah, I hope it works out for him though, and the whole NBA world is watching, and they're seeing what David Griffin and all these guys in the front office are going to do. It's going to be very interesting to see if they rebuild the rebuild. So yeah, if you like what I had to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment them below. And if you listen this far, I appreciate it, and you should subscribe. Thank you for watching. Cheers.